Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's been 3 long weeks here at SRA.
Welcome back to the best racing in North America, home of the SRA GT3 Team Series. 60 minutes of action-packed door-to-door racing, 6 divisions, 6 different championships on the line. Let's get ready for some action tonight.
An incident. Turn. We have Boardman at a yellow. Looks like he's dropping down positions there on the chicane as a bunch of cars are coming through.
Byron's going to take a dive in the Lexus.
Johnson looking to go down the inside of Maxwell.
And we're off and away for SRA.
Good evening, Sim Racing Alliance. We are back for week 3 in Watkins Glen. I'm here as always with the one, the only host, Maniacal Toaster. What's going on, my guy?
Hello. It's another great week to be in SRA. It's Caden, and I get to broadcast Watkins, as he said. I am beyond excited for this race. This is going to be a good one. I'm ready. You ready?
Absolutely. Like I was saying a lot last week, I am ready to be over with the wet. This one wasn't as bad as I was thinking, but man, will I be glad to be back onto a dry track again. But
See, yeah, I think that was one of the things we disagreed with. Was I actually I don't want to say prefer the wet, but I actually enjoy the wet. As somebody who's a little bit faster than me said, it's the great equalizer. And I also like that it really forces drivers to focus on their controls and inputs, and there's less payoff, maybe that's the word, for people who try to dive bomb or take on hairy situations, because there's less grip. You get off that dry line that's created in the track, and you can really pay for it. So we'll see what happens.
yeah, absolutely. It looks like, if I remember right, this is our one American track of the season. I know it's definitely a fan favorite. A lot of people are very excited to see Watkins back on the roster again. Have to say it's a great track to run dry. It's got a lot of technical corners. We got the bus stop to watch out for tonight. Really, that whole first section with the S's and the bus stop there, that's going to make some interesting passes. I know with the practice race on Monday, we definitely had a few issues. There's really not many passing opportunities right there that we can get into, but definitely going to see how people go on from here.
Yeah, I mean, just to tag on to the lack of passing opportunities, one of the things I've noticed with this track is the barriers are so close to the track, the edges of the track limits, or call it what you will. There's not a lot of runoff room, so if you do end up losing your line or losing control of your vehicle, there's a few spots you can easily run off and you'll get completely clear of the track, but there's quite a few spots where you're really going in as fast as you can trying to hold your line, and you lose it, you're going to ricochet, and that could come back and bite other drivers depending on how much space they give themselves and whether or not anybody has hot buttons to teleport back to the pit to get clear of the racing line. So I'm curious, I'm super excited, but I'm also super nervous to see how this all plays out with, I mean, one small mistake can really destroy half of the racing, half the track, half the field.
Absolutely. Definitely going to be an interesting track. And of course, we would be remiss without mentioning the great reshuffling that happened this last week. Lost a few of our teams here. So looking at our team standings, it looks like number 1, we have Space Invaders with Smalley and Air leading the pack with 253 points. Not far trailed behind, actually. In fact, by 6 points behind, we have Tremeling and GB3. Trying to pull ahead. I know all those guys have had great races these past few times. It's been wonderful watching them race. As we pop over, we'll take a look at our single standings here. I was gonna say we lost Listozo this last week. It was definitely sad to see, but not at all surprising considering the performances we were seeing from it. It looks like we have Sarah Cohn, Smalley, Diggs, Holmes, and GB3 as our top 5 leaders now. which had definitely changed from last week. I want to say there was, what, 2 drivers, maybe 3 that got bumped up to D3. Do you remember for sure?
I don't remember for sure. There was a couple 3, but I don't remember names, and I don't think they actually published a list. So we're kind of just spotting the ones that we recognize. Sorry, everybody.
Say, pretend like we know it until someone thinks we do.
Congratulations if you got promoted, and we're happy to still have you in D4 if you didn't. How about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely taking away some of our commentators, or people we can commentate on, I should say, this last week. But maybe this should make for some much more interesting racing going on. Hopefully, a lot closer racing as we come through and go into week 3 of, like I said, Watkins.
Yep. Watkins Glen.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be an interesting week if this is one of 2 wet races this season, if I remember correctly. We have this one, and I'm blanking on what the other wet track is this season,
Gosh.
but
Not Silverstone or Imola. Was it Monza? I don't remember either.
Yeah.
But speaking of the wet race, though, you did the practice race last night, right? How did that go? Do you remember? Any highlights?
It was not bad, honestly. It was definitely got the line formed after a little bit there. Probably about 20-25 minutes in the race is really when things started drying up again.
Okay, yeah.
And from there we were able to really just start hot lapping. There was definitely some interesting passing opportunities, especially around the last corner that we can watch out for. And it's going to be interesting all around to kind of see where this leads all of us.
Yeah, so playing off the 20-25 minutes is when it starts creating that dry line. So that was kind of, I think we touched on it very briefly just a couple minutes ago, but that dry line that's created is, especially with D4, D3, D2, D1, is, I mean, you have to assume it's going to be the ideal line, which is going to open up that can of worms potentially for anyone who's trying to pass, because you have to break from that dry line to take a passing line. And in this track, as you said, I believe, there's not many opportunities for clean passing. So you really gotta find the right point, take the off the dry line, go onto the wet line, and hope it sticks. And obviously that plays into how wet the track is in 20-25 minutes into this race and stuff. But those are the moments I'm really going to look forward to. Is
absolutely, yeah. The first couple of laps are a bit sketchy while you get around. As soon as the line starts forming, it's like, all right, we can do this for an hour. Definitely going to be interesting. I know as the line dries up, tire PSIs are going to start going through the roof. It's definitely wet tires are a bit more resilient than the dry ones that we're used to running, but it's still gonna be a little bit of a battle potentially towards the end to see who's able to hold on to it, if any of these drivers are going to try to take tire changes halfway through to help battle the wear on them.
Speaking of that, the last race of last season was Silverstone, and for the D6 race, it was wet, and then it completely dried out, and it seemed like half the grid took tires, half the grid didn't, and then it got wet again. Was it 15 minutes after it completely dried out, maybe 20? And yeah, it was a complete shakeup of the entire leaderboard. Like, the slowest guys went all the way to the top, because if you didn't take tires, you were running super slow times and your tires were overheating. I mean, it was just I don't want to call it a mess, but it was definitely a shakeup. It was interesting. It made for some very, very interesting leaderboard and finish times placements.
It was definitely an interesting way to end off last season. I think wrapped up all the way. That's definitely what we can say about it. Is it was a really interesting way. It looks like Nate and Chet here is saying Donington Park is our next wet track. Thanks, Nate. Don't think I didn't notice that. Looks like Stories popping in on the chat here. We got a couple of people here. Babs is popping in. What's going on, everyone? I was gonna say we're getting into silver qualifying here. Haven't been saying too much. It looks like a couple of these drivers are finally able to start putting down some of their times as they get around the track. Well, definitely the boring first lap or two where everyone's just trying to space themselves out, that 3 to 6 or so seconds to try to put down some real laps.
So Spoiler alert, Cade and I were in the server just a little bit earlier, the practice server. Looking at everybody's quality times in the server, and obviously conditions change, it looks like everyone is pretty closely matched up. And we were looking at the second and a half separation. So I'm curious to see if maybe how close we are with everybody in this server on quali. Caden, you think they're going to be that close again, or do you think there's going to be some separation from the top and the bottom?
It's tough saying. I mean, D4 is a great group of drivers, but I know especially when we come to a wet track, there becomes a bit more of a pace disparity. It seems like one of those, especially driving in the wet, it all comes down to your racing style, which is I think why some people love it so much and some people really hate it is because, you know, I think for me especially, I tend to be much more aggressive on the track. I try throwing my car in a lot more than I probably should, and that's why I'm in D7 at the end of the day. But some people tend to be a lot easier on their cars, which means in the wet, it's just another race. You know, you just have to brake a little longer, you know, turn in a little gentler. But I think depending on how some of these drivers, you know, how they race and, you know, how much time they've had to tune setups in, and of course with it being wet out, that is such a massive curveball into some of these things, with trying to tune a setup, because it changes so much more than a dry track would.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think it's interesting that you say you're in D7 because you tend to send it a little bit more on the wet tracks, but I feel like after watching some of the higher division guys, like that's all they do is send it. I mean, that's it. They just every corner, every track, every condition, like, you know what, let's see how hard I can push this car into this corner and out of this corner. So maybe you're just a shoe-in for D1 in a couple more seasons.
I was gonna say we'll see, but speaking of sending it, we're getting our first sets of silver qualifying in here. Looks like Scusa's leading the board right now with a 152.5, so obviously these track conditions aren't too wet out here. Got three 152s. Most of the pack right now is in a 153 range. Got a couple in 154s, but I mean, with this being silver qualifying right now, that's some insane times to see on the list already.
Silver and only two and a half laps in, so we're talking still fully wet, no dry line on the track established yet. Man, that's yeah, they still have almost 5 full minutes of quali left too. At 2 minutes per lap, you got at least 2.5 more laps. Wow, we might see some 149s.
Yeah, we'll see. Some of the real fast boys up there in gold may have got moved up, but we'll have to see. I mean, I got to highlight. I raced the practice race last night, and I was not able to put a clean lap down to save my life. So hats off to these guys that are managing to put 152s down on the track right now. It was one of those where you're invalidating on lap 1. It's such a tricky corner on this track, especially in the wet. It's a bit of a not blind, but a weird corner. It throws you off, and you end up getting a little overconfident on it, overcooking it, and those track limits are always right there.
I mean, turn 1 is downhill right-hander. So yeah, it's super easy to understeer into that, and heaven help you if you tap the brakes or the gas just a little bit at the wrong time. It's absolutely going to send it sliding, no matter how good your setup is. You lose grip and you're over.
Absolutely, and especially with it being wet out, getting on the track limits on the rumbles on the side, especially with as wide as it is on turn 1 around there, towards track limits. I mean, they're so slick getting on the red and blacks there. And especially trying to take the corner, and as soon as you hit it, usually you're already sliding out a little bit more, and trying to turn on those is impossible in the wet.
Yep. So I didn't do the practice race, so I can't speak to that, but my biggest headache was going through the bus stop with those curves where you have to hit the brakes, get off the brakes, and all controls over the slick part, get back on the brakes, make sure you adjust your steering, get off the brakes again, don't adjust your steering, and then get back on the gas. Like that timing, that balance, that's my kryptonite, or whatever you want to call it.
Exactly, and at the end of the day, that's why we're in D6 and 7. It seems like these guys, I forget what the laps exactly were, but it came out that something like last week, D1 ran, what was it, 1,200 laps for Spa. I think D4 was in the 700 to 800 lap range. I mean, they put the time in.
They absolutely did. And I mean, you got to imagine they've already ran several times that number of laps in previous either previous seasons or previous leagues or divisions or stuff like that. Because I know a lot of these guys race with LFM, and then I couldn't possibly list them all, but I know there's other leagues out there that a lot of these higher division guys like to race on, and I imagine they're putting in thousands of laps. And it's like, man, you guys must know this track inside and out. And I'm not jealous because I'm not willing to put in that much work, but it is impressive to watch.
Exactly. There's a reason, that hashtag no life exists within SRA. It is not one of those uncalled for statements, and some of these guys definitely have to put the time in to try to stay competitive in their league.
Yep. I mean, you put in the time and you get the results, but also it seems like, I mean, if you're putting that kind of time in, you obviously enjoy it. So, I mean, hats off to these guys. They're doing what they love. They're darn good at it. So, man.
Say a lot better than I am.
I mean, yeah, and it gives us something to watch. I feel like it's like watching art.
Exactly. I feel
true art form to see these guys go around.
Very happy that I get to commentate on a division that I can watch and say that I'm going to take notes on, and then end up not writing anything down for racecraft wise. But going back to the times, it looks like Scusa's still sitting on top. I think he took about 0.4 off his time, so he's sitting at a 152.2 right now. We got a couple others in 152s that seem I mean, we got most of the silver in 152s right now.
That is incredible.
Definitely looks like Smith is 0.3, 0.4 on his delta. I'm sure as I come over to him, he's gonna lose it, but that would put him at number 1, I believe, as he passes the line here with a 151.8 to put him on top of the list.
0.6. He's 152.3 and he's up 0.6 right now. Can he bring it home?
It is tough saying. I know some of these corners can change so fast as you're going through, but it looks like we're finally forming somewhat of a dry line as our gold drivers are coming out. Definitely the advantage of being gold out here is you don't have to sit and do it. A 151.5.
Look at that. That's incredible.
That is some insane times from these drivers.
Gary's bringing in 3/10 up too, almost 4.
Gonna get a third driver breaking into the 151s here.
If he can keep 3/10 up, yeah, he'll be 159. What is that? 159.8 something maybe? Depending on how. Oh, he's losing a 10th there. Come on. Oh, he might have lost it. I might have jinxed him.
And that's why we don't line up on people so quick.
Lloyd is up a half second. So he just has to carry it through to get into the 151s. And these are some wicked fast times.
I'm telling you, these silver drivers this season are really coming out to bite. They are not leaving a lot left on the field for other drivers to try to take from them.
They really are not.
Especially as we get our gold coming out here. Lining up for their lap, trying to space out from everyone. Definitely, I'm sure they have to space out a lot less than some of us other ones. I know I try to leave a really good size gap, but they are coming back around here.
152 flat.
Wow.
So close to 151s. But it puts them in 4th for silver. 4th overall, I should say. 3
silvers breaking into the 151s, which means I'm sure we will see a good number of our gold drivers here break into that as we power through here.
Yeah, look at that leaderboard. 3 151s. What is that? 12 152s and 2 153s. That's tight. That's some tight racing right there.
Yeah, that's some insanity.
Love to see it. All right.
It's like we have our drivers lining up, ready to start hot lapping. It's like Santos is leading the pack out here, working through. I'm sure it's always interesting being the first driver out there. Definitely Definitely puts the pressure on you to not wreck out if you manage to run up into the front of the line there. At least they have somewhat of a dry line. I'm sure it's real sketchy on Silver side there, trying to keep it going on the track, and then these gold guys get to come out and just kind of waltz around in the dry track. Not discounting what they do by any means, but got to give the
Of
silver
course, yeah.
drivers credit where you can, right?
Yeah, they're working under a little bit of a handicap, and I mean, hey, if someone gives you an advantage, by all means, obviously take it. But
Gonna
hats
say,
off to
obviously the
big
handicap
flag.
is not enough because they are still putting down these blazing fast times.
Oh yeah, and they earn every tenth, hundredth of a second that they're eking out of those things. That's impressive.
Absolutely.
So while these gold drivers are starting their formation laps and putting on their first times, like to take a second to thank SRA sponsors. So a huge thank you to our SRA sponsors and title sponsors for supporting us here at SRA, as well as support from Documise, a modern business solution for product management. Go to documise.com to learn more today. And support from Retro Saga, a North American-based gaming company that provides accessories for your favorite classic systems, including Nintendo, Sega, PlayStation, and much more. Enhance your retro gaming experience today at retrosaga.ca. And a big thank you to our affiliates, Track Racer. Experience redefined gaming with Track Racer's high-quality sim rigs and accessories. Use code SRATE at checkout to support us. That's SRATE or SRS rate. Armamentario, a toolbox for ACC that will enhance your chance to win. Enjoy a fully customizable and enhanced HUD to change the way you experience ACC. And To Go Setups, premium esports setups for everyone. Use our affiliate link on our Discord and take your drive to the next level.
I have to say,
everyone. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I have to say, I think you picked the wrong career. You need to do ad reads full time. That was absolutely beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
And say,
I don't know
someone
about
sign this
full-time.
man on.
How about a side gig? Can I do a side gig?
You know what? I'll give it to you.
Okay, cool. I think I can balance that.
There you go. Let's say checking in with our driver Tomato. We're checking in with him over the week. Got to give a little plug shout out to OBDA, the best of the conglomerates. Talking to him over, and he's been knocked out the last 2 races. And I know he is chomping at the bit. He is chomping at the bit to get back and get in a full race here. So we'll definitely be checking in with him as the race goes on. But checking back in with times, it looks like Martin Diggs with a 152.2, and he is on pace right now for a sub 152. Looks like Marvin with a 152.4. We have Smith with a 152.46. Tomato put down a 152.7, so we got some of these gold drivers moving up. Looks like Sercone, which is one of our faster gold drivers, just put down a 151.8, still behind some of these silver drivers after a couple of laps.
Wow, yeah. Those silver drivers really, I mean, they earned it, but and I hate to make them sound like they should be slower, but traditionally the gold drivers usually dominate the leaderboard, and it's peppered across here. We got silver, gold, gold, silver, 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 gold. Like this could be quite a race, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I was saying earlier, I mean, this definitely has to do with some of this driving style and how you drive across tracks, how you attack corners, how you look through the corners.
I mean,
with
you
some
touched
of
on
this
setup too, how aggressive your setups for understeer, oversteer, because some of these corners are just, you lose the back end. Yeah.
Absolutely. Say we are 3 minutes and 14 seconds away from ending qualifying here. We'll definitely see our last couple of drivers, as always, putting in some quick times right at the end. As we did with Silver, some of those drivers were 4/10 up on their delta through the last lap and managed to pull it off. So we'll have to see how they do it right here.
So, Caden, to selflessly go back to Tomato for just half a second, I don't know how many people know, but he also commentates the D6 race. But going back to the lap the lap counter, the number of laps that the different division drivers put in. Tomato, the last 2 races, I think. Spa for sure. I don't remember if it was Paul Ricard as well, but he was one of the top 3, top 4 drivers who put in laps in the practice server, and then to see him get taken out, Spa specifically, to just absolutely lose his race. It's like, man, we're all itching to see him actually come out here and be able to finish a race and see what he can put down over a full 60 minutes with the amount of
Yeah,
practice he puts in.
absolutely. He is definitely the I guess cover story for, you put so much work in a week to these things, and your race can be ruined in just a couple of laps. I mean, I know for a fact he is on almost every night dumping time into to laps here, trying to get faster and
Yeah.
keep going, and it always sucks seeing drivers get taken out or dropped out. I mean, at the end of the day, it's racing, it's gonna happen. But still one of those, you hate to see it. But looks like Martin Diggs shot himself all the way almost to the top of the leaderboard. He is leading the gold drivers. We still have one silver that just put down an alien time per se. But he put down a 151.587, so he is 0.04 off the leading silver right now. So Diggs, Saracone, and Santos are sitting top 3 for our gold drivers right now.
That's incredible. The split there, 0.04.
Yeah.
Going through the gold drivers here, it looks like a few of them. I see Curtis Admins, Potvin, Ruzik. They put down a time with a few minutes to go, and they just they parked it in the pits. I guess they were satisfied. They didn't feel like it was necessary to run more. They're not at the top, but I mean, it looks like they're about the middle. So maybe they just decided that they were going to be able to make up time because it is a wet race. I mean, as we discussed, the chances of something going sideways is pretty good. I mean, better than normal races, or dry races, I should say. So I'm curious to see what their strategy is here, if they're just going to play the long game.
Yeah, absolutely. I've definitely done things like that before. I will put down one lap, and I'm like, there's absolutely no way throughout the rest of these laps that I can top it. I may as well go and try to calm down before this race starts. It's definitely one of those where you know your limits on a track, and if you hit it, of course adrenaline's pumping. We're just finishing up the qualifying session here, and we're ready to go as we get our last couple of drivers file over. But it's one of those that, I mean, sometimes you just know your limit of, hey, this is all it's going to be, and I'm not going to make anything else for it. And
Sure.
There's no reason wasting some of your, I guess, endurance per se for that hour-long race coming up.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I think we talked about that last week, and the nerves and how you just kind of wear yourself out over the hour. It's an endurance thing. So yeah, that's a good point. If you got your time and you're happy with it, man, you're literally wasting time by trying to put in more effort than is needed.
Absolutely.
So that's smart. See, you are a shoe-in for D1, D2. You're just, sandbag. That's all. Got to cut those bags open. Spill some
That's
sand
kind
on
of
the
get me
track.
promoted, Toaster. I know you you want to see me up there, but man, that is not happening anytime soon.
I'm just preparing you for the future. Got to plant the seed. Trees don't grow overnight. It takes a little while. Was it oak trees like the best time to plant an oak tree was 30 years ago or something like that? I feel like someone famous said that.
Someone had to have said that at some point, and if not, you know what? You can take it. We're capping this off. Oh, looks like he's done with his lap.
Oh, goodness me.
I was gonna say, I know that feeling as well.
I hope he recorded that.
I really hope so. If not, I'm going to have to save something, but that is definitely one to go back and look at.
All right, so scrolling through the times here, 9 151s, a bunch of 152s, and then a handful, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 153s. That's close, man.
That's some insanity. I don't know. Don't know what's going on with some of this, but it looks like we have a silver driver heading out on pole position. Which, like we were saying, I mean, it definitely can happen. Obviously, we'll need to talk to him at the end of the race here and figure out how he managed to sneak by not making a gold split this season.
is that something we should put in an admin ticket for, or do snitches get stitches in this situation?
I think snitches get stitches. I know
that's
Nate
fair.
is probably rearing at the bit to get some of these drivers promoted up, so I'm sure him sitting in track will pop up. But let's say looks like our top 5 drivers here are Barker sitting at number 1. We have Diggs starting number 2. Santos, Saracone, and Smith leading up the top 5 for us. Have several drivers that are chomping at the bit here, getting ready to go. Okay, we got about a minute and 13 seconds before the race starts here.
Looks like Jess in the chat is asking us to do a grid walk before the race starts. Caden, you know how to make that happen?
Absolutely. I was going to say number 1, Barker. I was going to say we'll highlight a couple of these drivers through. It looks like GB3 qualied 26. It doesn't seem like wet is his forte.
This is his thing, huh?
I guess not. We'll have to see. He is in the Aston, which could definitely prove interesting, but got a couple of these drivers. So many liveries. It looks like Sutherland and Osborne here are starting right in front and behind each other. Obviously, they are a good team pairing this season. As they get ready, it looks like we've got about 5 seconds before we start our formation lap. Anything to say about these drivers?
Nothing I don't think we've said so far. I mean, I'm looking to see how a couple people finish. And then with the promotions and stuff, it should be, was it Spa that we saw? Oh my gosh, who our leader was a whole lap ahead. So with the promotions and the reshuffles, I'm hoping it's a lot tighter of a race, and we see more fights or more battles than they going around the track. But I'm just excited to see what comes of this. See some lap 1 and then just the battles that come after.
Absolutely, and especially with it being wet, that really makes it unpredictable all throughout the entire thing. It's going to be tough seeing what drivers go through. I know last week the big worry was giving drive-through 30 on Spa with as long as the pit was, but I think this week it's just going to be the track is going to continue to stay slick throughout the entire thing and be tough to drive on, especially as we start some of these battles and get out of the line that's going to form. It's definitely going to prove interesting to see what's going to happen and how some of these drivers are able to deal with it.
Yeah, I'll say I'm looking at the track conditions, and it's projected to be just wet for at least the next 30 minutes. So hopefully that stays true to form, and then all these drivers can maintain their wet tires and their wet setups and just find that dry line like we were talking about earlier, and then just iron at home. I mean, but also going back to that, the dry line that's created, you have to find time and places to pass, and unless they create a really wide dry line, you're gonna be stepping into the wet to be able to do that.
Exactly.
And that's gonna create potential shenanigans.
It definitely proves a big, I guess, different dynamic to the race. I mean, with a usual race, you'll definitely get a line that is the popular one. You can definitely deviate from it some and be fine. But with these wet races where, I mean, you've got the dry line and then you have the wet, it's going to prove interesting to see how some of these drivers deal with it, especially being in some of these higher divisions. I mean, this is not these guys' first wet race, hate it or not. Some of us definitely hate it a bit more.
Oh, sure, yeah. But no, yeah, you're absolutely right. A lot of these drivers have raced several wet races. I mean, I don't want to say hundreds, but definitely into the tens. So they probably have very well ironed out setups, very comfortable with their cars, very comfortable with the track, and then it comes down to a combination of knowing or trusting the other drivers and also finding and maintaining that dry line and knowing when you can step off of it to go ahead and execute a maneuver to pass or to avoid a situation that you read as like potentially unsafe, such as somebody who brakes too early going to the bus stop or brakes earlier than you do. You know when you can step out and what part of the curbs you can take without losing the balance of your car, or at least not losing control completely.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like we got a couple other guys. We got Listoza that popped in the chat. He is not driving on Tuesdays anymore, so he gets to watch the race. Looks like Roby Toady here is rooting for Sercone and GTG. We'll have to check up on these guys as we're getting ready to start the race, see how they fare throughout it. And Nate popping in again, saying that as a D7 driver, he likes the wet because it's like having the optimal line on, which I definitely see that point, but I also raise you the fact that I'm the one making that quote-unquote optimal line. We already have some contact starting the race.
Goodness. Oh, what is happening? Oh no.
Looks like we're going way wide.
That was right after the green too.
We got some drivers right on the top of each other. Looks like Tomato followed closely by Daniels. They were real close there, about to make some contact.
Oh, come on, Tomato, hang in there. I don't see anybody has teleported to the pit, so I'm assuming everybody who took damage is able to... Ah, goodness, what do we got here?
Let's say it looks like we had a wreck out right at the bus stop there.
Nope.
As it comes through. We've got a couple of drivers that are probably a little worse for wear coming through. But it seems like everyone seemed to hold on. I don't see, like you said, I don't see anyone popping back into pits, but looks like we already had Barker pass by Diggs. Seemed to get a good line out of there. I know I heard a lot of talk before about these drivers potentially trying to brake boost and build up some boost before to get a better launch. I also, if I remember right, that 40-mile-an-hour limit that you see is an average of your speed. So there's some drivers that will, I guess, intentionally go a little slower till right at the end of the windup, and then they can really accelerate and start getting some of that boost before it goes green and really shoot ahead of drivers. But that's, I think, when we start seeing some of those rear ends happen and drivers start to spin out, especially on a wet track.
Oh, we got a driver facing backwards, executing a U-turn now. L's pass.
It's like he missed his brake. He's just Austin Powersing it a little bit around the corner there. Let's see what happened to him.
There we go, yeah. Play that back. Get bumped. Did he lose the back end?
Also, that is a great livery. It looks like he got...
bump.
Which driver is that?
There.
Gonna say, I recognize that livery. It's either Osborne or his teammate. It looks like one of those two. I think it was Maxwell that ended up tapping him right there, but that is a rough way to start a race here.
It is. It looks like it didn't take too much damage, so it should be okay, as much as it sucks. It looks like Gretchen just took the missed his line on the bus stop, but but it looks like he brought it back around without actually doing anything more than validating. Oh, there goes my sponsorship career.
Right? It takes one mistake, but looks like Diggs is sitting pretty after a lap here. He has managed to get in front. Barker dropped back. I guess that's kind of where this gold and silver split come in. Seems like
we got
Diggs
another incident.
able
GB3
to...
sideways.
Uh-oh.
Blocking half. Oh, okay, backs off the track to get out of the way.
What a guy. It is definitely a rough start for some of these drivers. It looks like he got bumped, hit the wall, and is coming. We'll see what happens. He also has that Porsche a little close to him there, and
oh no,
was that Tomato?
That's Tomato.
That was Tomato. Bumped GB3 there around the corner.
Is that going that going into a braking zone, or was it looked like it?
Yeah, yeah, especially with all the other drivers around. I mean, it
Yep.
you have to experience it with as I'm sure most of these people watching, and you especially too. I mean, you get into some of these situations where you're sitting with 3 or 4 other drivers around you, and it doesn't sometimes matter how much radar you have going around you, whether you have Jim whispering his sweet nothings, that you definitely can tunnel vision.
Gosh. Maxwell and was that Retchen? Maxwell and Retchen were going door to door, and I don't know who, if Retchen caught the grass or something. But
Okay, we'll have to see here.
Maxwell just ended up in the wall, and now he teleported to the pits. That must have been some contact.
They are
That's gonna-
close. He comes careening around turn 1.
Yeah.
It looks like the Ferrari had a bit of a run on him and just taps him. My guess is that it's exactly what we were just talking about with not seeing radar. As you know, drivers get that close, you think you may have a little bit of a lead on them, and then it gets lost. But
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And the blind spots in GT3 cars, as anyone who's been in any of these cars knows, is pretty atrocious. Combined with this is rain, so you're looking at. Actually, let's see if we can look. Oh, it doesn't show it. Cameras. But the rooster tail, the backsplash from the tires in front of you, visibility can be almost nothing, and you don't really have a choice but to push as hard as you can. Just try to stick as close as you can and know your braking points. Driving by feel.
Yeah, it is a
definitely going to the pits.
Tough.
Sorry.
No, you're good. And say there is so much action out there. It's bound to be a little bit of talking over, but looks like GB3 is back out. We already have some fast laps coming from these drivers. It looks like our fastest is coming from Sarcone, that has already dropped down into the 152s with a 152.5. I'm seeing several 153s on the board, including from our leader, a 153.1. Barker sitting right behind him with a 153.045. It's definitely pretty close up in front here.
That is some wicked fast laps, especially with, I'm imagining, race fuel and the conditions. I mean, they're racing. A lot of these drivers are racing pretty close together. The Tody Roby was asking about Sarcone and GTG. They're currently 4th and 5th, and they are right behind. I mean, we're talking a half second, maybe a full second combined behind the leaders. Doing really well so far, so keep an eye
we
on
have
them.
a really nice train going on the start here. It looks like we have a couple of moves. Looks like Santos was pulling off the racing line there, maybe testing the waters, seeing if he can do anything with it. But it looks like we have, what is that, a 4 really tight, and then we have one other guy right at the back there. Is that Smith? That is KB Smith, right off the back. And I mean, it's a close top 5 here. All trying to stick to that line just like we were talking about earlier, and stay on it. It doesn't leave many passing opportunities.
It doesn't, and you can actually see the ideal line now as well. It's as Nate was saying in the chat, it's officially there. You can see it. The dry line has appeared.
I'm gonna say, Nate, start writing this down. Like I was saying, I didn't realize we were so close to the start of the race there, but I'm not the person that you want to drive the optimal line behind if I'm the one that is helping make this line. But I think we get a couple of good shots for Nate. He can grab his crayons and his notepad and start trying to draw a line around this track. Looks like Sarcone dropped off into the grass there a little bit.
We got more drivers heading to the pits. Maxwell, who we saw from the previous incident, is still sitting in the pits, so I'm wondering how much damage he has taken, because he has been sitting there for a minute now. Hopefully he's able to get it back, get his car repaired and get back out there.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, like we were saying earlier with Tomato, it takes one incident and your race is hurt.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. yeah, I guess we'll see here in a couple minutes if we see him back on the track. Hoping to see him, of course, but it's impossible to know exactly how damaged his vehicle was. Looks like
Yeah.
Botella's trying to pull a move on a Tomato right now. It's, he's, I mean, pretty close to his bumper, honestly.
Let's say
He's
they
got to
are
be driving on instinct.
neck and neck. I'm sure he probably is pretty much has his eyes closed right now and is just, like you said, driving on instinct. I'm sure some of these drivers know the track well enough. Looks like Barker is not giving up that position easy. He is doing the exact same thing, pulling off that racing line a little. I definitely know that, you know, testing the waters a little, seeing how far are you able to make a move. But
Oh, yeah,
Diggs and
absolutely.
Barker are right on each other right now. Pretty much going turn for turn here, you know, give up one turn, take the next. It's
Yep. Oh, speaking of trains, Lloyd in the Halo vehicle is leading the train with Boonstra, Ruzik, Adam, and Levine. And they are all just about a half-second gap between them, following the same, well, what looks like the same line. And it's just, it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, and he's pulling a move on Ruzik. Pulled a move on Boonstra. Pulled in front of her, before the bus stop. Oh, and Curtis spins out in the bus stop. Can you bring it? Oh, he's bringing it back. Okay.
looks like he popped
Looks
back on. He's gonna get passed right there.
Yeah, he lost 2 positions, I think, there. Levine and Sutherland. That's not too bad, though. I mean, you can make that up. You got a lot of race left.
Absolutely, and I mean that comes down to really having to rein yourself back, like we've talked about these couple of weeks, where it is not easy. Looks like Barker lost a position. Oh, we just catch the tail end of a slide here. Looks like Barker slid out. Oh, big crash.
Hold your brakes, people. Hold your
And
brakes.
yeah, I was gonna
please.
say Barker is completely upside down.
Oh, and he was the pole position silver driver starter as well. There you go. That was a nice spin. All right, bring it back around, man. Get back in there. He has some time to make up from, what was he, second, third?
He was sitting in second place. Him and Diggs were really battling it out. It looks like Santos just pulled around him, and I think that started a chain reaction of I mean, it's hard saying.
Yeah, that's what we have racing stewards for, but yeah.
Exactly.
I just hate to see it. I mean, he's doing good 10, 12 minutes into the race. Qualified pole. But, I mean, there's a lot of race left. Al Barker's actually bringing it into the pits. He must have taken some... Well, he did hit the wall pretty hard. So that checks out. Hopefully he'll be able to get back out there. Maxwell is setting a record pit stop. Oh, no, Maxwell cut out. Never mind. He's called it.
Yeah, it looks
No
like
longer in the race.
Aowen. I don't know how to say your name. I apologize. That's what we get for using usernames in YouTube. Asking where Picard was this week. He took the week off. Decided to take this as his drop race this time. The wet didn't set as well with him. Just like me, I can really side with that. But
Yeah.
he is gonna be coming back next week. Should be with a absolute vengeance when we go into our next track.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're absolutely looking forward to it. I mean, balance is the spice of life. And balance is obviously incredibly important. So hopefully this week that he's taken off gives him whatever he needs to bring it back, like you said. He is really fun to watch as well. Posts wicked fast times. And he's also represented OBDA, which we are absolutely not partial towards, but maybe just a little bit.
I don't even know what OBDA is.
Oh, it looks like we got another incident between Lloyd and Skuzda. I don't know if it was between them. They were both involved in it. Skuzda is currently sitting sideways.
As we're following Skuzda here, see what happens to him. Definitely seems like he pulled off the racing line there a little, was holding on to it. Should see this spin here before too long. No, we completely missed it.
Oh no.
I say glad we got to watch his good racing then, I guess. Looks like Martin Diggs put down a 152.2 to lead out the pack right now. We can really see this dry line starting to form as we go through. We have several 152s on the list. I mean, it's like we were talking, these guys are putting down some wicked fast times.
Boomstra's trying to work a line past Levine, if I'm seeing that correctly. I think that's what it was. Either she just got I'm sorry, I just got onto him, but either she just passed Levine or she's working to pass
It looks like Boonstra and Levine are very, very, very close right now.
Butchering everybody's name too.
Oh, it
Probably
is
breaking up
nothing new.
pronunciations.
What fun would it be if we couldn't get yelled at after the race for butchering some names? I see it as a social opportunity.
Gonna make you famous, not the way you want.
Exactly.
Oh. There's another Gremlin is sitting at the bus stop in the grass. That's he
Looks
teleported.
like he just teleported back to pits. I was gonna say, let's take a look back at it here. Looks like he was following very close behind. Who is that?
It's Else Pass. Going too wide into the bus stop. That's
no. I have done that before, and that I can say hurts. As soon as you touch that grass there, you know it's not gonna be a good time.
I mean, I'm not one to question anyone else's racecraft, but I do have to say going too wide, attempting to go too wide into the bus stop is a bold move.
It is a dangerous maneuver. One that I've definitely seen pay off before, but it is something tough to pull off, especially in the wet. But it looks like we had another blazing fast time put down. It looks like a 151.6 is our new fastest time. It really, as this line's drying up here, GTG is putting down some times. He's moved his way up to 3rd place now. Seems like he is going to be chasing down Diggs. It looks like Santos is not giving up any of that space to him. They are right in front of each other, going through every corner. That Ferrari is definitely dancing right at the rear end of the Porsche, just ready to go.
Just itching to get past. Find a hole, any hole.
Exactly. With as close as some of these drivers are driving, I mean, we've got, looks like a 0.4 second pace disparity on just the fastest laps, on their last laps there.
Wicked close.
They're so close going into it. But
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, definitely as this train's forming, it looks like GTG is being able to pull up a little bit more. He's trying to work his way up bit closer to the front of the pack here.
Oh, absolutely. I was gonna say to point out the significance of the disparity between these tracks. Looks like White Scarver is trying to pull past Else Pass. He backs off again, but he doesn't look like he's giving him much room. But to highlight the significance of the pace disparity of 0.4 seconds. 0.4 seconds in a hot lap it's not an insignificant amount of time. Like that's a couple of tenths on a few different corners. But when you're racing, you're battling for offense and defense at the same time. So generally, you're sacrificing a bit of your speed to, take a line that provides you a defensive line in certain corners and an offensive line in other corners. To be able to pull that off and still pull in a 4/10 disparity, that's some solid racecraft. These guys are really putting in great tactics with great speed on a wet track, which I understand it's drying out, but it's still wet. The non-ideal line is still very much wet.
White Scarver just pulled off a nice pass around Isballs there as they went down the straight. He rocketed it through that last turn and was able to just pull ahead of him, but it looks like Isbald is not giving up any of that space. He's going to try to get that back, but that was some good racing that we just saw.
That's fantastic. Well done.
Say it definitely seems like that kind of home straight there is definitely I guess, a bit of a odd corner where you can try to pull off some of these passes. Looks like we have Santos and GTG going real wide around there. I don't know if that was some strategic blocking. Maybe GTG got a good run. He is definitely putting down some real good laps with a 151.8 as his last lap, as we're watching him in the middle of a train too. That is impressive
like,
times to be putting down.
Looks like Nate and chat even noticed the beautiful pass.
Say it's hard not to notice something like that. That's one of those passes that it's like, man, that's all around just good racing.
Yeah. If you could frame a really good racing incident, man. Oh, and you know what? Now that I think of it, you can. They have the digital picture frames now. Put a short video clip of your favorite racing. I don't want to call it an incident, but your favorite. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the word. Period in time. Anyways.
And say that would be amazing if I could get one of those on my desk. You know, like you said, maybe one that plays some videos and just have drivers submit their
Oh yeah.
racing incidents per se that I can sit and watch at my desk all week. I would love the hell out of that.
You can mix it with the good and the bad, throw in a couple of really bad accidents where cars flip, and then throw in some really solid passes or like really good blocks even. And then just, oh my goodness, wet races, dry races, that'd be like a highlights video, but on your desk.
I wouldn't
cool
get up out of my desk, to be entirely honest with you.
I'm gonna need a catheter and a really big bottle of water. You know what? Just bring the faucet.
You know what?
Over here.
That's all you need. That's it. That's all you need to survive in life.
Yep. Racing is life, man. Any Ted Lasso fans? Football is life? No? Never mind. Anyways, back to what we're supposed to be doing. It looks like Adams is closing in on Sutherland. 0.4, 0.3. They're battling for 13th, 14th place. Yeah, he's closer, further away. Going down the home stretch. Gonna keep an eye on that, see if he can pull it off.
I'm gonna say they are really close to each other right now.
Right? Yeah, Adams is absolutely itching to get past.
Almost as close to these front three drivers. It looks like that Porsche just lost 2 positions at the front, and he takes out.
No!
Is that GTG? Yeah, he took out GTG.
That's
backs it up nicely outside. That really sucks.
Yeah, he couldn't quite hold his line coming back on. It looks like I should probably not commentate on racing incidents, or I get in trouble.
Say, I tell you the facts and nothing but the facts, but man, that sucks. He was working up there. It looks like he just about had that pass, but Diggs was not ready to let that happen quite yet. But it looks like Santos is pulling out a nice lead after that. I mean, that really goes to prove that it only takes one mistake with as close to those drivers.
All right, Adams just I think he missed his braking point by a little bit, and left track and checked the wall.
Oh no.
It didn't look like too bad, but I mean, a wall check is still a wall check. So
looks like he just pulled off a nice pass around that corner, though. He getting back around that Porsche. He is rearing his way to get back up to Sutherland. That last time is not going to go unseen by him.
Absolutely. Yeah. No way he's going to let that go. Seeing Adams' last couple races and racing with him last season, he absolutely sticks with his races no matter how it's going, and he finishes them. So curious to see how he pulls himself back in. Back to, let's see, Smalley is closing in on Scusa, looking for a place to pass, while Scusa closes in on Lloyd, 18th, 19th, and 20th place.
Looks like we have a nice little train forming there. They are definitely getting wide on some of those berms, though. They are pushing out every second. That last corner is so satisfying if you can nail it just perfectly and just barely miss hitting that wall.
Yeah.
Although
inch from the left, inch from the right, yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely hit that wall a time or two coming around a little hot through that last corner, but it looks like Santos is just kind of sitting hot lapping himself up there right now. He built a good lead after Diggs unfortunately spun on the infamous bus stop. I think it's been enough incidents there that it has officially become a infamous corner. Looks like we got a couple other people popping into chat here. Brett Swift, what's going on, man? Space Baker popped in.
Hey, Space Baker. Recognize that name?
I was gonna say, we got a couple of people. Sure, you and your teammate Space Baker can probably put your heads together, maybe watch over this race again, get a couple of ideas, and try to pull off a D6 win. Not that I'm cursing it or anything.
How dare you? You know what? That's all right.
It's okay, I get a brag. My teammate's been in chat since it started, so.
Yeah. Feeding each other little tips and tricks. Like, I mean, Nate specifically commentated on that nice pass. You know, he took notes, screenshot it. He's getting it framed for you right now, I heard.
Yeah, absolutely. I expect that on my desk at work first thing tomorrow morning before we really start anything. I will refuse to get any work done.
Rightfully so. I mean,
before I have that picture on my desk.
Yep. I mean, how are you supposed to accomplish any task if you don't have the proper motivation and tools at your disposal?
Exactly.
To provide the proper motivation and, tools. To accomplish your mission. It's science.
There's certain things that I need. I need my coffee in the morning, and I need my daily photograph that Nate found of a race the time before. But
oh my goodness. Looping back to Boonstra, she's still chasing. Is it Levine? But she is ridiculously close. I don't know how she can see anything. And there was somebody right on her tail too, but I didn't see who it was. Who's in that car?
Looks like Sutherland, or is it someone that's led? It's not Sutherland.
No, yeah, it's Sutherland's teammate. It must be a blue flag.
But you're right, Boonstra is not giving up any of that time as she comes around. No. She is right on the tail end of that Ferrari.
Crazy.
And say I need to reach out and see if she is still racing on controller. I know she was looking to become part of the infamous Moza group, as I'm sure you can commentate on there, Toaster. But I will have to see if she's made that switch yet.
I mean, Moza is not a sponsor or an affiliate of SRA that I'm allowed to, or that I'm aware of. But I will absolutely say that they are amazing in that their equipment is solid, great features, great capabilities, and I love it. I wouldn't change anything if I didn't have to, and I don't see it breaking any time. So
yeah, absolutely. Looking at the forecast here, I mean, it looks pretty dry. Looks like Swift wanted to see what the inside of the car looks like. Doesn't look like they're catching too much rain, at least from the front here. Let's pop over to Boonstra because we know she's pretty close. It actually looks like she may have got a little time. I don't know if who was that she was in front of there may have pitted. But it looks like conditions are really clearing up for some of these drivers. It looks like here in about 10 minutes it's going to be pretty minimal rain. But I was going to say, we'll see as this track clears up. It seems like it's pretty clear. I'm kind of wondering what drivers' tires are starting to do now as we get this drier line. I know PSIs are going to start going up a lot and continue to do so.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes, you're absolutely right. I was going to say Levine actually just pitted as well. So Boonstra's way is actually free. Post those lines. Post those lap times. I'm sorry, not those lines. Use the lines to post the lap times. GTG made this all the way back, all the way up to 6th.
Yeah, it meant to commentate on that earlier. He got you bumped back to He got bumped back to 7th place, so he is making up one position. It looks like he is right behind Garrity here. If he was driving anything like he was before, he is not going to let that go. He is going to get up tight and find that little bit of a gap to pass by to keep working his way up. I definitely think he's one of the drivers to watch. One of those people that seem really, really consistent on this track. Seem like they know what they're doing. He's definitely putting the hot lap for life. For this past week on this wet track.
You love to see it. I don't think we've touched on Kadavar. Kadavkar? I really should look at the pronunciation thing up. But he is running in 8th place right now in the Ferrari, and he's 0.8 seconds behind Smith. So he's putting down pretty consistent times, 152s, middle 152s. Curious to see if he can hold that. I mean, he's going to be looking at a top 10 easily, which would be nice.
Yeah, definitely. And this goes to show how little of a gap 0.8 seems. I mean, he wasn't that far, and I mean, that's almost a second gap. Pretty crazy.
Nate Allen in the chat is asking driver of the day predictions.
I don't curse people. I'm sorry.
It's a good answer.
Like I said last week, I'm not a betting man. Obviously, I was not predicting Listoza to pull off the win that he did after he pushed his pit right off to the end. So I think I need to do what's best and learn to keep my mouth shut when it comes to making predictions.
Oh, GB3 just pulled off a pass on Daniels for 26th to 27th place. As we saw earlier, GB3 ended up sideways, got tapped or something like that. There was an incident of some sort. There's been a few of them, but it's nice to see he's making up space. But to play off what you just said, yeah, no, I don't have any predictions. Nope, not a gambling person. It's just no. Nope.
It definitely looks like Santos has put quite the lead. Looks like he has a 3.7 second lead off to Diggs now. So he is definitely in his hot lapping phase of the race now, where he just needs to stay consistent, stay in front, and keep working. Just as we're just over halfway through this race. I mean, definitely looking nice for him right now. He pulled off a hell of a pass earlier through the bus stop to make it past Diggs. But I'm sure Diggs is scrambling right now, trying to make that position back up. He only lost one. Looks like GTG is working his way back up. He is now in 5th place. So he got by Garrity already. So his next target in sight is Sweeney here. I don't think quite knows what's coming for him yet.
So looking at the leaderboard here, it looks like the top 14 drivers have not yet pitted. And the bottom, what is that, 20, give or take, have pitted. So what are we looking at for pit times here? About 30 seconds, 35 seconds maybe? We've got some really long ones, but we know those were probably related to incidents. Looks like 38, 39 to 45. So take 45 seconds on top of whatever split they have now. Yeah, these top half of the leaderboard is still looking at pretty good chances of finishing at the top if they can hold their line based on the splits and current stats.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. Let me tell you
change.
what, I keep watching the disparity between Santos and Diggs just keep ticking up. We're up to almost 4.5 seconds difference. But as Santos comes around, it looks like he is about to start catching some of these other drivers coming up. We'll see if that slows him down at all as he starts catching up to. It looks like Lloyd here is kind of leading the back that Santos is going to start catching up to. But he is definitely putting down the very fast, consistent lap times that we have come to expect and appreciate from from D4. I'd almost be half tempted to say that he may be our next Listoza to keep our eye out on.
Yeah, could be. I mean, man, we can't lose any more of these fast D4 boys. You gotta add a little bit of sand at your pit stop. Keep it a little bit level, win by a few seconds. Don't beat them by 20, 30 seconds. You just giant red flag. Oh no, GB3 is facing the wrong way on the track again.
Yeah,
Don't
it
know what happened.
definitely seems like our prediction that we said a little earlier was very, very correct. It doesn't seem like wet is GB3's forte. He may be one of those drivers that are much more on the aggressive side and don't do as well when it's slippery conditions. I don't know what he goes for his setups. Whether he builds it on, whether he uses Go setups or not, but I know we were having a pretty sizable conversation not too long ago about how setups and between drivers how it can be so much different. I mean, you can have a baseline setup handed out to 4 different drivers that are very close to each other in time, and only one may like that setup. Some people prefer oversteer, some people prefer understeer when it comes to the car. So it really comes down to what these drivers like and whether they're able to tune their car to what they want. And especially in the wet, it gets so much more complicated to try to tune into how you want it to feel.
Absolutely. And I mean, everything you said I 100% agree with. Fun fact, I was actually shortly after I joined SRA, I was kind of perusing several of the chats, especially the different division chats, and I saw a lot of the drivers on returning to the new season were saying they went to their old setups for the previous season's tracks or the seasons before's tracks, and they critiqued themselves on the setups they initially created and how much their driving style and driving habits changed based on how their setup needs changed. So they would run an old setup and they'd comment like, "Oh my gosh, I had so much." What was it? One of them was I had so much toe in one of my setups, and I couldn't believe I could even handle it because now it's just absolutely undrivable. And it's interesting, and from a reading perspective, because I'm not good enough to do setups, how different everyone's driving style is, and then how much it evolves as you become a more, I don't know, adept driver. That you're like, hey, I realized now that I was overdriving my tires and underdriving my something else. My arrow, I didn't go into the corners with enough speed coasting because I slowed down too much, and therefore I counted on more cambers. Like, I don't know, making up terms at this point. You gotta check your blinker fluid and your gonculator valves, but balancing all of that stuff out, setups, it's such an odd dynamic. I have somebody help me make mine because I don't know what I'm doing. I just drive it, and when something goes sideways, I'm like, okay, can I fix that? Or can you help me fix that?
That's definitely why there's some people that very much so excel at the race engineer side of it.
100%, yeah.
Especially people that have the privilege of working on cars on their free time. Everything comes together, everything's simulated. It's trying to get it as close to real as possible. So you start getting into some of those things that you were talking about with toe and camber and different arrows and ride heights versus the track that you're on. It's some real world experience can really help you on the track trying to get your car tuned into what you want. But looks like Swift is bringing up a good point in the comments that some of these guys have to start getting some toasty tires around now with as dry as this line's starting to be. With looking at the forecast up there in the top right, it looks like we're pretty light rain as of right now. So I'm sure some of these pressures are starting to really tick up, and as such, probably getting a little slipperier than some of these guys may want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wonder if maybe that's part of the reason we see some people spinning out is maybe they're trying to get off the ideal line in a spot that they can to try to keep the tires a little bit cooler, or maybe that's completely arbitrary and I'm just making it up, but I'm not sure. There is a three-way battle, something I can actually say. There is a three-way battle between Potvin, Scuva, and Fair, 21st, 22nd, and 23rd place. They are all right on top of each other. And it looks like Bear really wants to pass Scusa, and Scusa's trying to play it semi-safe behind Potvin so that he doesn't end up in his bumper, which I cannot blame him. I mean, you're looking at 21 minutes left in a 1-hour race, and you're not super high on the leaderboard, but man, an accident at this point, if you end up with the 4-minute pit stop, that's a quarter of the remaining race, and you're pretty much done at that point.
Yeah, it's gonna hurt. Like we said before the race started, I mean, that's the big thing that we have to watch out for is drivers wrecking out. It's not like a dry track where you can get tuned in and keep going. You know, you start spacing out a little bit, and where you would maybe have a little bit of a disparity on your line on a dry track where, you know, you can drift off to the left or the right a little bit and be fine, can really throw your race off quick. When you're in a situation like this trying to race in the wet, it can be real tough to keep going. But it looks like Santos is continuing to just pull ahead with a 7.8 second lead on Diggs now. It seems like he snuck around there and just put his head down, and he has been running the most consistent laps of anyone else. It looks like GTG just set the fastest lap so far with a 151.3. Really ticking down there. I wonder if we'll see some drivers break into that 150 mark as we continue on. You know, I know at this point we're getting some good tire wear in, so we may not see as fast at hot laps, but I'm definitely still seeing some top times for the day put out.
Absolutely, yeah. Just for the sake of the shout out, we were talking about Tomato before the race started, or maybe in qualifying, how he's had a bad couple of races. He is currently in 30th, but he is still going, so it looks like he's going to, well, yeah, God, I don't even want to say it 'cause I don't want to jinx it.
You done messed up.
I didn't say it. He's still running his race though, and we're happy to see it. Right behind him on the leaderboard is Jess Osborne, in 31st place. So he's still running the race too. I think he got caught up in a couple of incidents as well, if I remember correctly. It's either him or his teammate. Maybe it was both of them. But I recognize the livery.
Yeah, it looks like he is trying to pull up on Boonstra and Ruzik here. He seems to either be trying to unlap himself, but I know he put in the YouTube chat here more as the race starts and said that this track bit him a little bit, which I can completely understand. It's one of those very tough tracks.
Yeah, it bit a lot of our, I don't want to call them favorites, but if we had made predictions or were betting men, it bit quite a few of the people that we would have bet on. I mean, Barker started pole position, and he's down to 21st because of incidents. GB3, obviously very, very fast, competent racer, also spun out several times, or incidents happen. I don't want to put blame, but either way, he ended up losing a few spots. Seen Adams in the bus stop went a little bit wide. I forgot who the driver was that went into the bus stop at full speed.
That was that White's? It wasn't White's driver, sorry. I think it was the other Aston. Was that Tremeling? I think.
Oh, it might have been Tremeling. Yeah, that sounds right. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, it's this track, it wet, it's just it is what it is, man.
It's a tough track, but checking back in on GTG, he, like I said before, he got dropped back to 7th place. He has worked his way back up to 3rd. Looks like he's got one driver there that's going to be blue flagged. He's working his way back up to Diggs, as I'm sure this is going to be a couple of redemption laps here, trying to get back up and regain that position he had for all of about a second there. But
he's going for the leader, man. He's going to do it. I believe in him.
Santos is still putting a gap out on him. It's insane. It looks like he has an 8.2 second gap on the other drivers. He is one of those drivers that seems like it. I mean, they can just hot lap. But I think you were right earlier with saying some of these drivers are trying to cool their tires off. I'm seeing more and more of them pull off in the racing line on that straight. onto maybe the less used section as before. We'll have to pull Santos. I've seen a couple of them do it, but maybe pull Santos up after the race and ask him if that's the reason. But I have a feeling it's probably they're cooking their tires, trying to cool it off, like you predicted earlier.
I mean, full disclosure, that was a complete guess, but I mean, it checks out, I guess. So yeah, that's hey, you know what? That's a note for our race, or for my race tomorrow, and your race too. That's actually a really good idea, especially on the straight coming down the main straight, and then not so much going to the turn. What is that? Turn 2, 3? No, I do that.
Yeah, that's
somebody
too
in the
much
chat.
math in your head.
The turns, the parts where the track doesn't go straight anymore, all those. Yeah, no. Somebody in the chat, Nate is asking if Selena's still on a controller. I think we touched on that briefly. We need to actually ask her if she's still on a controller, because I do remember seeing her in one of the chats saying that she just needed pedals, and then she'd be able to run steering wheel. I mean, that's going to be a force to be reckoned with. Although there is also a learning curve. There was someone else in SRA.
Definitely a learning curve, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's got to feel nice to go from a controller. I can't imagine my first season here with SRA, season 6, actually last season, you know, qualifying at Kyalami, I had to do on a controller just because I didn't quite have my wheel yet. It was in the process of being transferred over, but you know, I was chomping at the bit to get into SRA, so I'm like, you know what? I'm sure I can stick this out and qualify with just a controller here. And it took the better part of an hour and a half of, you know, running very slow lap times. You know, I think at the end of it, I was, I think third from last as far as time goes, just to put down 5 straight laps.
Yeah. I mean, but hey, you got in, you're here now, and man, SRA is a better place for it. And you're commentating. I mean, it's like, talk about accelerated progression. From running on a controller just to get by to racing with steering wheel and pedals in a division on your second season and commentating.
Absolutely. It's been quick, but man, do I love it here. It's one of those that racing in cars has always been a passion. So getting an excuse to do it week in and week out, and you know, getting to pretend like it's a huge thing that I need to deal with every week and that I don't actually enjoy it as much as I do is always a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's awesome. That's what we're all... Oh, Marvin is facing the wrong way on the track. Don't know
Looks
what
like
happened.
caught to the car got spun there too. We'll have to go back and see what happened with him. He was working his way up. Looks like GTG took his pit actually a couple minutes ago and is sitting in 8th place. We'll have to see if he's able to roll it back up. Oh man, looks like we had one Ferrari spin out, and then that took out Katavikar. That was a rough crash. It looks like he has some good damage. It took out that Porsche right in front of him too. It's one of those that once you start spinning, once you start having to
oh no! Smith coming out of the bus stop just smoked I'm sorry, not Smith. Botella smoked Adam. Oh, there's a pile up.
Oh man.
Oh no, another one.
No.
Oh no.
That hurts.
Was that 5 cars? 4? At least 4. I think that was 5 cars total.
Yeah, it looks like Barker had to go back. It looks like he just absolutely pile drove into that. We'll take a look at what that is from our perspective here. I saw
Curtis in it. I was, oh my goodness.
So it looks like he came around the bus stop. We're all piling up there, and he just slid straight into that other driver. That is a rough way to keep going, but man.
With 12 minutes left too.
I was gonna say that just proves how quickly things can change in the wet. How, I mean, it can go from 0 to 150, or just around the bus stop there.
Or in this case, 150 to 0.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Was oh come on, if they're Top Gear fans, there have to be. It's that Jeremy Clarkson said, "It's speed doesn't kill you; it's coming to a sudden stop. That'll kill you."
I say,
Like
looks like we're
true
getting some
color.
F's in chat for that bad crash there. I completely agree.
Oh,
Put
yeah.
our respect. They can't blame us at all for that. We weren't watching them up until after they had crashed. I will not be taking responsibility for that, and my lawyers are on standby if I get any lawsuits.
Botella is on the side of the track. Was he involved in the last incident? I feel like he was, but I don't want to name names. But it looks like he's in the wall. He's having a hard time steering. He keeps steering into the wall, which is kind of an
Yeah,
odd
it
move.
looks like he may be about to teleport back. I definitely know that. I never actually, to be entirely honest with you, have had to teleport back during a race. Usually I'm able to make it around, but isn't there a delay in time? I mean, it's not just a straight.
Teleporting is instant. The car in the server, the car has to be completely stopped, and then you do have to go through the 2 or 3 button clicks to actually get it. So you pull up the menu, and then you go to teleport, and then you actually teleport. So even if you have it hotkeyed, it's still going to take you a couple of, well, not a couple of seconds, but it feels like a couple of seconds when people are going that fast around you. Oh, Lloyd is turning around at the end of the bus stop too. Same spot as our last incident that we missed. I'm not sure what happened there.
Looks like he
He's
was able to avoid it.
It looks like he was in something, but it looks like he's back on the track. So, because he
Yeah.
was facing the wrong way.
Have several drivers pitting now. It looks like we have 3, Santos, Garrity, and Ruzic, all 3 that are yet to pit, leading our top 3 here. Santos still putting a good sized gap on everyone here. Just, I mean, staying consistent is all get out as we come into the last 10 minutes of the race here.
Santos has also not pitted, so we have to take at least, what do we look at, 38, 39 seconds. If he does an excellent pit, it looks like 38 seconds. So what did we say his lead was? 30-something seconds, right?
Yeah, it looks like he is 36 seconds ahead of Garrity, so it's going to have to be a real good
if
pit.
he nails that pit, he can come right back out and fight for first again.
Yeah, it looks like we have a little bit of a battle going on here between Smalley and Ruzic. They're fighting for that 3rd and 4th place position there.
That's Spedez was spinning sideways. He's back on track now.
Yeah, it looks like Boonstra is going to
Boonstra
pull right around him.
Pull by him. Oh no!
Oh, had to drop right back behind him. He managed to hold it off as Boonstra. It looks like she may be dropping off on the side too, maybe trying to cool those tires down, maybe trying to get around him.
That makes sense.
We got Nate in chat saying that it's a 2-minute penalty potentially. Doesn't look like he wants to be held to that statement when you teleport back during a race. I thought there was something in there like that where, you know, there's I guess simulated pulling the truck out there and pulling you back into the pits type thing to help simulate that during the race.
Yeah, I've teleported once, and I don't know how much of it was teleportation penalty and how much of it was fixing damage. But I was in the pits for 3.5 minutes. Looks like Wolkowitz went into the wall on the corner after the bus stop, but he's right back on it. So maybe he just kind of spun it around.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of these drivers are holding on through a lot of damage that's happening. I think the rain is getting back a little heavier again. It lightened up there, and now we're back to medium rain again. So I'm sure that has something to play with it.
Yeah, tire temp should be coming down then if anybody was worried about him.
Yeah, somewhat. I mean, we still have a dry line here. It does look like the line is maybe going away just a small bit, getting a little bit lighter as the rain picks up again. But we'll have to kind of see going into the last little bit here. Mm-hmm. Santos and Garrity both have not pitted yet. Definitely taking a dangerous approach, but as we saw last week, it really worked with Listoza. We've got another 4 minutes and 17 seconds left of the pit window, so they could potentially blow by this lap and take one more before really needing to pit, but we're going to see these two drivers pit very soon.
So looks like Lloyd is just a couple seconds ago. Lloyd was holding off White Scarver. Now it looks like Lloyd is closing in on GB3. Curious to see if he can catch him here. He's not 0.2 seconds off. 0.3, 0.4. Ooh, he is closing in fast.
Yeah, it looks like he was snedding that Porsche pretty hard around that bus stop. I was watching him almost go sideways. That was some good driving from him to keep it on the line going around.
Yeah. This last couple minutes, like you were saying, I mean, this is the time, no time like the present. The clock is ticking. Make your moves, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, I should say. Racers. We'll go racers. It's unisex. Got the EEO team. The phone's ringing in the background. That's probably them.
Exactly. But we'll see if Santos. It looks like he's pulling into the pits now. Gonna see where he ends up after this. See if he can put down a good enough pit. I know that cutoff for speed was a lot earlier than I was expecting in the practice race. But hopefully able to get back down on it. Looks like Smalley is sitting in second place. See if he can come around fast enough to take it off. It looks like he's coming to the last section of corners here. See if he's able to hold out, or if he's gonna end up staying in second here.
I'll say, speaking of Smalley's, he's in second with a big lead, but then right behind him is Smith, and then Diggs, and then GTG, and they are all right on top of each other. So if Santos comes out of a bad pit here, we're gonna see him fighting 4 different people for for the leaderboard, for the podium, really. Not the podium. Yeah, the podium.
Yeah, with that being said, it looks like Santos has already pulled back out and going through the S's, so I think he avoided that. Smalley, he is still a 25-second lead ahead of Smalley here, which is absolutely crazy. He has put down some time this lap. I mean, I should say these past few laps to pull that kind of disparity out. Looks like an 11-second lead that must have updated after he came out of the pits, but still, I mean, an 11-second lead in D4 is nothing to scoff at. It's not anything to scoff at in any other division, but especially when we've been seeing some of these drivers so close to each other all night long, just fighting for every little position that they can possibly take.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, 11 seconds is an incredibly commanding lead. I gotta say, and this is one of those situations where if you can take an advantage, absolutely take it. You earned it. But once you get that couple 3-second lead, you're not fighting defensive lines anymore either. So he really has that advantage where he doesn't need to look in his rearview mirror. He's just like, hey, what's the fastest lap I can put down? And then just repeat and repeat and repeat. And I mean, good for him for finding that position, holding it, and then just owning it, just building that lead. That's fantastic driving.
Yeah, absolutely. And since we've seen this rain come in, it doesn't look like we've really improved on times. I think the last fastest time that we were seeing was a 151.3. So Smalley here down with a 151.2. It looks like Diggs spun out.
Trembling
looks like he
well.
did a little 360 there and is back on, but that is unfortunate right at the end. We'll give it a second here and go back and see if we can't see what happened.
Okay, yeah. Looks like Tremley might have lost in one of the corners as well, but he's back on track. And going back.
Looks like we're about to have a little contact with the Ferrari.
Oh, there's someone facing the wrong way in the track. Okay, he's off the track. Cespedes.
And that is unfortunate. Diggs just barely, I mean, it looks like he just had this car start sliding out from under him, but he is still sitting nice in 5th place right now, and is seeming to hold a good lead here. I mean, top 5 is nothing to scoff at. Looks like Fair just spun out, and it looks like he has a lot of damage to his car. That does not look like a good time.
We were following Lloyd in GB3's potential battle. Looks like Lloyd was able to pull it off. We missed it, but Lloyd is officially in front of GB3 by about 1.5 seconds. So good for him.
It's like fair, just, I mean, he almost pulled off the nicest looking drift I think I have ever seen, but it just flipped back around on him last second. But as we go into our last lap here, everything's going to be kind of settling in. It looks like Smalley was able to put 2 seconds up. Last time we checked in, there was an 11-second gap between him and Santos. Looks like he's pulled up, but I mean, as long as Santos holds good at this last little bit, it
Yeah.
looks like we have our winner for this week.
What is it they say? It's his race to lose, or Santos's race to lose, because he's got the gap, he's got the pace, he's got the line. Just have to do it one more time.
Exactly.
I feel like that
And
should be a rhyme.
yeah, I'm sure this is when the adrenaline really starts pumping. It looks like Sarah Cohn spun out right there. I mean, it's definitely pushing it on some of these last laps here. We're seeing some of these drivers spin out, especially as the rain is starting to get heavier and heavier.
Boonstra just pulled off a beautiful pass of Garrity. Looks like she was about to lose the car going around a corner, but held it and was able to pull in front of him.
That is a very tight 3-car train that we have going on with them right
Absolutely.
now. It looks like Rechton is, he bumped off a little bit. Looks like him and Garrity both have a good amount of damage trying to hold on going into this last lap here.
Gotta bring it
Rechton
home.
is definitely in the position to be able to try to make a move, but it looks like he's going to try get that outside line going in. We'll see how he manages to pull off. These drivers are door next to each other. Just barely trying to pull in, going into the S's, and it looks like he's able to pull it off and stay within the drier line there, which is the big thing through the S's. I mean, you can keep it pinned right there if you do it right, but if you get off your line, that's when we really see drivers start spinning. But
yeah, and then you pay for it.
exactly.
Dearly.
We are rounding our last couple of corners. Santos is still in front. Looks like Smalley is coming up about 9.8 seconds behind him, but it looks like Santos is rounding this last corner and is in his last straight of this race, and will pull off a win for race 3.
Can I say it yet? Tomato is about to finish. Come on, Tomato. Do it.
So we are
Represent
definitely
OBDA.
rooting for him, but it looks like Smalley comes in second. KB Smith, number 3, GTG. Especially very impressive race, especially with all the damage and times he spun out. Managed to pull 4th place. Martin Diggs finishing 5th. Looks like he just came in right into a wall. I can understand that. Sweeney, number 6, pulling across the line. Have to say, I've been eyeing this livery all night. It's a nice looking one. I really like the blue and black. But that is about it for race 3. Got our last couple of drivers. Got a lot of them with a lot of damage. I'm sure just trying to push off that last. It's just one lap left. You know, you may be driving with your wheels sideways, but you got to make it to the end.
Finish is a finish at this point.
Garrity especially, he had some bad damage. It looks like GB3 is coming around his last section of corners. Looks like he is sitting in 18th right now. Not too bad considering he also is one that had quite a few spins through his race. Definitely impressive to see a lot of these drivers come through and manage to pull through, but as we have the last couple of racers pass here, it looks like Lloyd finished 16th. I know we were following with him quite a bit. Levine ended up finishing number 8th, but as we got our last driver come across the line here, that is it for race 3.
Whew. I can only imagine how many of them are just like, yay, finished.
I have to say,
Not even like,
I mean,
how do you finish, or just yay.
I'm sure there's a lot of relief being felt right now as these drivers finish up.
Yeah.
Especially with a wet week, some of these guys I mean, GB3, who is always a fast guy, I'm sure he. It definitely seems like he is one of the haters of the rain. I'm sure I'll have to hit him up after the race, and maybe we can connect about something like that. But I mean, a lot of fast drivers, but like you said, it seems like the rain is a great equalizer when it comes to a lot of this. Tough to it's tough to drive if you don't have the correct driving style with it to keep going. But
yeah, I stole that quote, but yeah, absolutely, the driving style, and then like you kept saying, the nerves. Your nerves has got to be shot with the lack of visibility, the required sustaining of a consistent driving style. There's less room to push it. You can't do like, oh, I'll drive 90%, and then when I need to, I'll just ump it up to 100. You're really stuck in that like 90 to 94% driving, and that's it. You push to 95, you're out. You go down to 89, someone's gonna blow by you, and I mean that you're kind of in a bad spot then.
absolutely. So I'm keeping my eye on the driver's briefing here. I guess there's a couple of people we can pull in, but we can pull in Boonstra here, get a little bit of commentary. I know we're eager to figure out whether not only to hear us guys stop talking, but to also get a little commentating on whether she's on a wheel or not. So let's pull her up here. Hey, Selena, how's it going?
Oh, hey! Oh,
Welcome.
I'm
Just-
here. I'm in the booth.
You are here. Welcome once again. I'm sure you'll be here tomorrow again, but we had a lot of questions. We were following along your race. Definitely a tough race. You were keeping it on there, but I guess the biggest resounding question still is: are you still on a controller?
Yes, yeah, I am for now. Anyway, I'm working towards pedals and the rest of the stuff, but getting there.
Baby steps, yeah.
Yeah,
no,
baby
we're all
steps.
rooting for you
Yeah,
to
thank you.
make it off the controller, to see what you can do with the steering wheel and some pedals. Not that
Oh,
you're not
yeah.
fast with this controller, but yeah, it's a game changer.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the consistency will definitely be a lot better. That's for sure.
That's a scary thing, because I mean you're consistent as all get out. We're seeing some really close racing from you tonight, especially around some of these other drivers.
Yeah, solid
but,
battles tonight.
I mean, it looks like you're D1 bound, but as soon as you get that wheel and pedal set, we're gonna see you go straight to the top.
Yeah, one can try to get there.
But any comments on the race? Anything to be highlighted? I mean, wet race always makes things interesting with a lot of
Give us
people's
that
driving
insider
style.
info, Selena.
Yeah, well, I had an amazing battle with JB Ruzick. That battle was just crazy. Like for the whole entire race, practically, him and I were just like battling it out, and then I pitted, and then later on he pitted, and then all of a sudden we're just battling out again.
Mm-hmm.
So that was shout out to Ruzick, because that was amazing. That was a good battle.
You love
Yeah.
to see that kind of racing.
Oh yeah, great clean racing. That's all what it's about.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate the commentary. Thanks for popping up with here. I can't wait to see
Yeah.
you back up in the booth, I'm sure, tomorrow, like I said. But good racing out there tonight, and we look forward to continuing to watch you. So,
Thank you. Yeah.
absolutely. So, you have a good one, and we'll see you on the track.
You as
See you, Selena.
well. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Let's see. Looks like GTG is in chat. We can try pulling him up real quick, getting a little commentary. He had that nice move there and ended up getting spun out and working his way up. So, hey GTG, how we doing, man?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, not too bad. Wanted to get a little commentary from you. You were sitting pretty nice up there in third. It looked like you were about to make a pass. You made the pass and got spun out back to seventh. I guess what was going on? It seemed like you made a pretty dang good recovery at the end there.
Yeah, I felt like everything. Actually, the car handled pretty decently considering we didn't have any rain and my tire pressures were somewhere around 33. I felt there was
Oh, wow.
definitely exactly. I was trying
Wow.
to hit every water puddle I could if I, just to get them down. But yeah, I couldn't get the nothing to do with the tire pressures. But I mean, surprisingly, it actually gripped pretty well in the dry with that pressure. So I was actually able to maintain, a pretty consistent race pace through there and actually pick up some time. So I felt like it actually went pretty good considering, I had a couple of issues there. But overall, I definitely enjoyed the race and enjoyed the rain.
Absolutely, and it seems like you're one of the guys that like rain. But man, you definitely got spun out pretty hard there in the bus stop, and like I said, I think you went back to seventh if we were following up right. But it seems like you are consistent enough, and you put down the time to be able to continue to work your way up. And we weren't seeing you drop back anymore. Just continue to go up. It was good racing out there, and we always love to see that consistency.
Absolutely, yeah. Good job, man.
Hey, thank you guys.
Absolutely. So have a good one. We, as always, look forward to seeing you back out on the track again.
Hey, hopefully we'll make some podiums next.
Oh, absolutely. I fully expect to see you there.
All right, y'all have a good one.
Hey, you too. Have a good one, man. All right. Is there anyone else that you're seeing in race review there that we need to touch on, pull up, maybe get some commentary from?
Is Barker still in there, or did he dip?
It
I'm looking at
looks
the
like
list
he's
now.
in there. He's muted. We'll pull him up, see if he has anything to say. Being a silver driver, managing to pull out the fastest hot lap qualifying time.
See either.
Hey Barker, how's it going? You with us?
I'm here.
Hey, we just wanted to get some commentary. That was a very, very impressive qualifying time from you, putting you in first place above all those gold guys. That had to feel good. Give us some insight on what was going on.
Well, I sat there and I'd like to say I came in with this cool motivation that, after getting moved down to silver, I was going to come out and get pole, but it was totally unplanned. So
I was gonna say, did you have like the Batmobile where the back end drops some jacks after your last lap, and you're just like, haha, take that gold, and just drop some grease on the track?
basically, I came across and I was like, oh, it's a pretty good time. And so I sat and, then just chatting with my teammate as we're, getting ready for the race to start. And, the minutes go by and I'm like, wait a minute. And we start to hold our breath and we're like, well, shit. And then I was like, well, now I'm screwed because now all the pressure's on. And
Right.
Not the luckiest race, but we're going to ignore that and just focus on the pole position.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We definitely want to highlight the good parts and seeing a silver driver start podium there, and in fact pole position is always awesome to see. So I appreciate the commentary. How were you feeling, I guess, in the wet? Getting some mixed feelings as always with wet tracks.
I actually feel like I'm the strongest in the wet. I think it was last season at Imola that I think I had pole position at the checkered flag, but there was one car behind me that got first. I wasn't able to attend Silverstone at the end of the season, which I think was a wet race.
It was. Yep.
But overall, it just seems like I just drive really well in the wet. I don't know what it is. I feel like I drive more aggressively in the wet than I do in the dry, and I guess it works out.
Sounds like with the SRA reveal stream that they had with Doug's little joke, you probably got a bit excited there seeing what was it, all night wet. Was it Snetterton races? Sure, that would have been a great season for you.
I don't know about night, but I don't know if I have the reaction time for the night race in the rain. But
well, we'll definitely. I was gonna say we'll definitely test your reaction times next week. It's not a wet race, but we're racing at night this coming week. Definitely gonna be exciting seeing how different people adapt and go from there. So I really appreciate the commentary, the little bit of an inside look on the fast boys on the track. So thank you much, and we'll see you out on the track.
Alrighty, thanks guys.
Hey,
Thanks,
have
man.
a good one. All right, and I think last up we got to pull our boy Tomato in here with his first finish of the season, seeing how he's feeling back. Fellow commentator, finally able to throw some laps down. What is
Yes,
going
sir.
on, Tomato?
Tomato. You there?
This is going to be one of those
okay.
awkward times.
I was gonna make a ketchup joke, but
I was so confused. I was like, why am I not watching the replay anymore?
Yeah, it's a magic trick. Yep. So we wanted to get a little commentary. Obviously, finishing the first race of this season, seemed like you did pretty well out there. We're very consistent with it. How's it feeling this week? Being able to actually pull a finish out.
I'm just happy I finished the race. I don't know what else to say. I probably could have been like 5, 6, 7 more positions if I didn't change tires, but I survived, and that's what matters.
Oh, you did change tires.
Yeah,
Okay.
I shouldn't have. That was a mistake because I realized very soon on that it was making it didn't make really a difference overall.
Sure.
Yeah, it seems
mean,
like,
yeah.
especially as the race lightened up there for a bit more towards the end, kind of in the last, I guess, between 30 and 15 minutes or so when it was a lighter course and then got heavier again, that started throwing some people out. So, it seems like it was not a popular thing to change tires this race, but may not have been a bad idea overall because we were definitely seeing a lot of drivers spin out pretty bad there towards the end.
I mean, it worked out for me, I guess, because I went from like 30th to 24th in like one lap.
Yep. I say that's one of those that you chalk it up to a tire change, and whether it hurt you or helped you, you don't know at all. So
I think I started 25th and ended 24th, so one position improvement, I'll take it.
hey, that's a win in my books.
Yeah.
So one position improvement and your first official finish in the season. So I mean,
Yeah, I wish it was a better one because I know I have the pace, but
oh yeah,
it is what it is. Why have a wet race when the conditions always end up being dry? Just keep it wet. I'll be fine. Just keep it wet. I was literally praying throughout the entire thing. It's like, just get more wet. I will be better. Just get more wet.
Oh gosh. I feel like you're in the minority there, but I love it.
I was gonna say I will not be saying the same thing tomorrow night. I can assure you that. Give me the driest line possible. I will take it with stride and hope for the best there. But awesome commentary, awesome racing tonight, Tomato. I appreciate it. Look forward to see the D6 commentary that you are doing tomorrow night.
Yes,
can't
sir.
I'm
wait
looking
for
forward
it.
to your races. Will be fun.
Oh yeah.
I say
Yeah,
don't
we're
watch
gonna
too
bring it.
close. But alrighty, I appreciate the commentary and have a good one, Tomato.
Yeah, see ya.
See you, man.
With that being said, I think that's about our time tonight with everything. Definitely a lot of fun to be had out on the track. Lots of battles, lots and lots of crashes. It seems like we were pretty lucky and pulled off a couple of those there pretty quickly and were able to catch some of those crashes right as they were happening. But definitely a good race as always from a lot of these guys, and I guess we'll see you next week for what is it? Night I have to pull it up.
Not Snetterton, was it? Somebody put it in the chat.
It is Night Imola.
Next week is?
Yeah.
All right.
So race
Cool.
4 will
Alright, let's
be
do it.
Imola in the nighttime. Definitely it's a repeat track from last season. Definitely pretty exciting. But with that being said, if there's no other closing remarks,
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
I was gonna say y'all have a good one.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's been 3 long weeks here at SRA.
Welcome back to the best racing in North America, home of the SRA GT3 Team Series. 60 minutes of action-packed door-to-door racing, 6 divisions, 6 different championships on the line. Let's get ready for some action tonight.
An incident. Oh, turn. We have Boardman at a yellow. Looks like he's dropping down positions there. The chicane has a bunch of cars are coming through.
Byron's going to take a dive in the Lexus.
Johnson looking to go down the inside of Maxwell.
And we're off and away for SRA.